stuff until we can get John maybe online here?
Sure. I think we left off. Yeah, I'm trying to find it here.
I think it was like 46 or 45.
Yeah, there we go. 45.
45 is the last one we covered, which was
that was a
repeater.
Right. That was someone who parrots information he has heard. In general, most repeater types fail to use scrutiny, which includes failing to research or verify the things that they repeat. That in turn causes misinformation to plague the movement.
Right, that's the last one we covered, and of course we covered last week before we closed up.
Yeah, okay. The next one
Self-importance.
Self-importance, number 46. This encompasses the nature of someone who thinks he can provide the answers by fee or no fee solely without working with others. Such persons generally do not have their own research or information and sometimes plagiarize others. This causes information to be duplicated and slows down the education process due to people. This causes information to be duplicated and slows down the education processes of people due to them having to review more material and having to decipher it from being right or wrong. Accordingly, these types cause a divide and conquer effect that works to the advantage of the adversary.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to get John on. And,
okay.
So anyway, yeah. Do you have anything to add to that? I mean, all of us seem out of sorts today.
Yeah, the self-importance people, it's a big ego that gets out there and starts pushing whatever documents or whatever they're trying to sell you, and they kind of have that self-important attitude, They give you a lot of information that it's possibly good information, but it's not really that useful. And
you okay, Frank?
Yeah, I'm trying to read in this chat box what's going on here, but it's okay. I'll just stay out of it.
Yeah, let us handle that. So yeah, if you need me to fill in here, I can.
Yeah, I'm getting some feedback. It sounds like I'm hearing myself talk twice.
Yeah, I can imagine that's kind of I don't know how that's trouble.
LB, your
yes,
speaker turned up just a little bit too loud. That's the problem.
My speakers are off. I've got a headset on. Someone else must not be using a headset.
Feedback for you.
I don't know what to say.
I've
never had this problem because I have headphones on.
All right. Okay. The next one here is sophistry. Sophism, in its modern definition from Plato, is noted as a specious argument used by a person or a sophist in order to deceive someone. It is a technique popular with lawyers and/or attorneys to gain control over their adversaries in litigation proceedings. This has to do with maintainers, folks that do this, talk in big words and fancy phrases to confuse you or to deceive you into buying into whatever they are trying to sell you, whether it's some type of program for that's perhaps a lot of these are borderline illegal or illegal, what they're trying to do. So they try to trick you into it by using this particular this specious argument. And the next one is
yeah, that let me interject to that. Interject on that. That sophistry is something that lawyers use in court rooms and things to gain control over their adversaries. Mostly, it's really not anything to do with people trying to opportunists per se, like Frank was saying. Sophistry is things that, like I said, attorneys do to try to gain power over their adversaries, which is basically just deception and lying to get to advantage. That's what sophistry is, and that's an important factor to know when you're dealing with attorneys, because that's what they are in, to confuse people. Anyway, sorry we had to stumble through that one, but sovereign citizens, the next one, which is a very important one, that basically is a terminology that's been used by the adversary to just group anyone into that is fighting the system, that they're trouble. So anyway, read that one, Frank.
Yes, it's this is a person who believes he or she is someone under the original constitutional system, but usually has not followed any recognized legal process to claim it. Moreover, the term is somewhat an oxymoron, as no individual was ever considered individually sovereign under the system of law in the United States. Most people who use the term cannot even explain what it means. I think that's what happens is people, they misuse the words sovereign and citizen, and they put them together. Of course, we know that sovereign is king, and a citizen is a denizen or a slave. So it would be impossible for it to be the same, to be one person. They also use this, the authorities use it to pigeonhole people, like you were saying, that are in the freedom movement. And they may or may not be calling themselves a sovereign citizen, but it seems to me they use this to lump it all together into one type of person, so they can pigeonhole these people.
Right.
And that goes right in with sovereign individual. In general, such persons, a sovereign individual, in general, such persons think they are individually sovereign and are not a member of any governmental system. Such persons are anarchists and may be considered stateless under international law. They hold no posterity as a member of a nation in the United States, and ultimately have no rights that international law does not prescribe. Most of these types would be considered as selfish and lost. These people are going it alone, and I don't see. They think that it helps the movement or it helps the cause, but in fact it doesn't. It just sort of separates them from the world, and in a lot of ways it kind of makes them look foolish.
Yes, yeah. We went over some guy that went to South America and tried to skate the law down there, and he got in trouble because of the authorities hitting him for trying to thwart any import taxes on products he was bringing into the South American country he was in.
Yeah.
There's no way. Matter of fact, John, our guest, if we can get him on the phone here, knows this guy. Oh, hi, John. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Skype's kind of a pain today. We had an attack last show too, so it's been difficult. I don't know. I hate technology. I guess it's a double-edged sword for sure. Anyway, we were talking about sovereign individuals and people that basically want to act in anarchy when they have occupied states that are in power, that the rule of law has to be followed or they're going to get in trouble. And most people don't know how to handle themselves or act accordingly or prudently, and not prudently per se, but wise into doing the right thing so they don't get in trouble. What we talk about as civil disobedience and things of that nature is really kind of another double-edged sword where, you might get by and you might get in trouble. So, yeah, PAC is not about that. It's about doing things properly under the rule of law so we don't get in trouble. Anyway, hi, John. I guess we'll pick up on the 10 extra definitions next hour. We were going to talk about your journey in politics, I guess, from when you were younger, which I don't even know for sure when you started into, being interested in politics. I was never interested in politics myself. I don't know, if people know that about myself, but I really never voted at all, but I got interested in the law, specifically Second Amendment type issues, right to bear arms type things, back in the 90s, and I started studying constitutional law, then started studying, deeper into the Constitution, and my ex-wife at the time, or my wife at the time, gave me a Rush Limbaugh book, and it took me about 6 months or so to figure out he wasn't telling the truth. Just from reading the Constitution and looking at the way things were going. So, yeah, my political venture started probably in the mid-1990s. Why don't you pick up from there and tell us where yours started, maybe?
Sure. Well, I have to say that sometime around the same time as you, I realized that there was something wrong.
Right.
And I started off on a journey to find out what that was. And I looked at, in the early 90s, at the beginning of Clinton's presidency, I realized that I didn't like what I was seeing from either side. And,
Clinton.
I was living in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Clinton scared the hell out of me too. So. Yeah.
I was living in Boston at the time, which of course is a hotbed of lunatics and leftists, and so I didn't know where to turn. I figured there's got to be something else out there. I actually looked in the phone book and found the Libertarian Party and called them, just as, and met a bunch of interesting people who talked about the Constitution and talked about Adam Smith and talked about John Jay and the early thinkers related to the founding of the independent nations, which became obviously the Union. But
we've got a break coming up already, so
all right, I'll come back.
Yeah, just stay on the line there, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. This is Revolution Radio, and this is People's Awareness Coalition. My name's L.B. Bork, and we're talking to John from the East Coast, and we'll be back after the break. Stay tuned.